Afternoon, everyone. My name's Wayne, and this will be the first in a fairly regular series of videos, just discussing some stuff that I am currently studying at university, and sort of delving into what I think is useful about marketing. So, as I said, my name's Wayne, I'm 32, and I'm currently studying my MSc at Huddersfield University in marketing after graduating from my undergrad degree, also in marketing, last year. Prior to starting the marketing degree, I'd actually done 2 years of study on a course called Enterprise Development, which was completely about starting up a business and sort of all the steps and processes that go into that. And then after the second year of that particular course, I switched onto the marketing course at the uni. So the sort of a quick overview of what interests me about marketing is a lot of it comes down to the consumer psychology aspect. It's really interesting to figure out sort of why people do what they do, and sort of what can influence their decisions when it comes to buying things or choosing one brand over another, engaging with other people who like the same brands and products and services and so on. I'm pretty interested in sort of the effects of the marketing environment, what the effects of the market environment can have on a consumer, by which I mean, you know, you go into a supermarket, for example, the smell of fresh bread is piped through the store, and that makes you want to buy more food. It makes you hungry. If it's particularly warm or too cold, it could make you uncomfortable. You might not want to spend as much time as they would like you to spend there if it's not the right temperature. And they're just examples of physical environment. What I'm more interested in currently is aspects of the online purchasing environment. Things like, you know, what puts people off using certain websites. Why do consumers prefer to use a particular website over any others? So, for example, Amazon and eBay. What makes them the market leaders within digital sales? Why do consumers choose them first rather than going to any other online retailer? And also, I quite like the area of relationship marketing, which is simply how a company retains, builds loyalty with a given consumer, and then actually retains that loyalty. You know, what are the steps and processes involved in keeping somebody interested in repeat purchasing, and how to make that happen. So that's enough about myself and what sort of makes me interested in marketing. So I'll put up a little sort of thing on Facebook recently, simply asking, my own friends, what areas of marketing are interesting to you? You know, what sort of areas of marketing are actually interesting to a consumer or potential small business owner and so on. So I figured the first thing to do would be to actually talk about what marketing is, because a lot of people don't seem to understand that there's a world of difference between marketing and a couple of other related areas. So, quick definition of marketing would be that it is it's the development and ongoing maintenance of building a relationship between a given company or brand or even product or service and their consumers, and basically it's a mutually beneficial relationship. The consumer gets, products, services, things that are relevant to them, and they think, they realise they need, and obviously the benefit for the company is that they, have repeat customers. They have people who will continually come back to their brand or their product or service and continually use it. So it's not sales. That's one of the things that really kind of irks me at times. A lot of people think that, the guy who tries to pressure you into buying something in an electrical goods store is somebody who's doing marketing. That's not. People who are cold callers generally aren't marketers. They're usually salespeople. They're trying to make you buy something there and then. They want you to, improve their sales figures, or just literally just sign up to a service. Marketing isn't that. Marketing is the process by which companies figure out they figure out if there is a need amongst consumers for what they want to sell. So, for example, I think one of my favourite examples is the iPad. Prior to the release of the iPad, nobody really felt the need for something that's not quite a laptop but not quite a smartphone. It very much falls between the two. As much as it does an awful lot of stuff that a laptop does, it's a little bit more convenient, smaller, lighter, easier to carry around to an extent, and then it also comes with a whole bunch of peripherals which allow consumers to personalize their iPad, different colored cases, different protective cases, and so on. So when Apple came to release the iPad, they didn't realize that. They assumed there was a need for it. What they did, rather than just sort of go, hey, this is, we want you to buy this, they created a need for it. They highlighted the benefits of the product. In their advertising, they showed people how easy it would be to carry around, how the different apps could help them within their daily lives. You can get things on there, not just games. You can also buy things. You can get apps which allow you to do your online shopping. Allow you to download recipes, for example, find events and stuff local to you, book taxis, so on. Again, another example would be this delivery service, Deliveroo, which is cropping up across England at the minute. Deliveroo is quite clever. It basically provides a delivery service for restaurants or takeaways that don't normally don't bother with a delivery service. So rather than sort of going out to your favourite restaurant, you could provided that restaurant's decided to partner with Deliveroo, you can contact them, buy food from your favourite restaurant and have it delivered to the house. Or, as a lot of people tend to do it, they tend to order their favourite sort of comfort foods, for example, McDonald's and KFC. These companies traditionally don't do delivery. They don't deliver goods to consumers, whereas Deliveroo obviously carried out a little bit of research and went, there's a gap in the market here, we can fill this, we basically provide the delivery service for this stuff. So that's the main difference to my mind. Marketing is not necessarily about just driving sales. It can be to create awareness. Another really good example of a big variety of NHS adverts that are out there. Stop smoking, cut down on the amount of drinking you do, eat more fresh fruit and vegetables. There's no real profit there. There's no real sales to be made. But what it is there's a cause, there's a good reason behind it. The NHS wants to save money on giving treatment to people who suffer from conditions related to obesity, for example, or want to reduce the amount of people who are coming to them with lung disease. So, that's a prime example of the difference between sales and marketing. Interesting little thing about marketing, to my mind, and probably one of the reasons why a lot of people find it kind of interesting, is that marketing is pretty much derived from the idea of military intelligence. Essentially, when it comes down to military intelligence, it's all about knowing your enemy, figuring out weaknesses, how best to, exploit those weaknesses, for lack of a better term. And marketing is kind of in a similar vein. It's all about, rather than understanding your enemy, it's all about understanding who your consumer is. So it brings you to, brings me around to sort of just outline a very quick, just a really simple 5-step process for marketing. So the first thing that any company, any service or product provider should do from the off is you need to understand the marketplace, and within that you need to understand what a customer could need or want within that given marketplace. You can have the flashiest laptop in the world, but if there's no need for it with it, people aren't interested in it, people don't want to buy it, or the marketplace is flooded with laptops at that particular time, it doesn't matter how cutting edge it is, it doesn't matter how fancy it is, people might not buy it. People might just completely go, well, I've already got a laptop, I don't really need this one. Essentially the first step there would be engaging market research. There's a whole wealth of tools out there that people can use before just trying to sell things, trying to produce advertising campaigns. One of my personal favorite ones is the website SurveyMonkey. It's really handy. It lets you put together short questionnaires for free and distribute them through social media channels, emails, so on, things like that. It costs, there's a premium option with that, but you can use the free one, and you can throw out a questionnaire that ascertains whether or not there is some sort of need or want for your product or service. So then, following on from the back of that, you can then design a customer-driven marketing strategy. Essentially, what this means to me is, off the basis of your research and after sort of figuring out who your target market is, and defining who your consumer is within that target market, you then design an advertising campaign, a marketing strategy based around what they're most likely to engage with. So, for example, if you were selling a new eco-friendly product that was aimed at sort of 18 to 25-year-olds, for example, you would have figured out that they engage with certain groups on social media, for example, Greenpeace, Friends of the Earth, that kind of thing. And sort of knowing that they use social media, you would produce an advertising campaign that primarily relies on social media. You can basically have Twitter accounts for free. You can look at using Facebook as a way to get customers to contact you and to gather the details. It's all about marketing in such a way that reaches those consumers and engages them and grabs their attention. There's no point using a radio advert, for example, if the majority of your respondents to your market research say they don't engage with radio broadcasts, even digital radio, for example. If your potential consumers aren't engaged with the medium with a given medium, there's very little point in using it. Okay. After that, you construct a marketing program that delivers superior value. So again, this sort of falls into the same previous category. It's all about delivering value to your consumers. So perhaps part of your marketing strategy could be, these guys like to refer friends. You want it to spread quickly, so you offer a reward scheme for anybody who refers a friend to your company, to your website. Carries over to them actually making a purchase. Good example of that would be, for example, Virgin Media. They offer a referral service. If you say that a friend has referred you to them and recommended them to you, there you go. You get so X amount of money off your bill, and your buddy gets X amount of money off your bill. That's a really clever little thing that they use, and they do put it in their marketing communications. They highlight that, refer a friend, get X amount of money off your bill. So that's all about delivering value to the consumer and creating in their mind this idea that if they join up with your company, they sign up to your company, they're going to get something a little bit better than if they went elsewhere. Excuse me. The next step will be, do you build profitable relationships. Going back to one of the first things I said, marketing isn't simply about producing an advertising campaign. It is about building this relationship that goes between the company, product or service, and the consumer. If your target consumers feel disenfranchised or feel put off from your brand because of something they read about it, then it's all about sort of rebuilding that relationship, making, reassuring the customer. And then obviously the whole idea of creating customer delight, it's about creating excitement around what you're offering. Maybe it's a new product or service that's completely new to your company's portfolio. Driving excitement about that particular thing could reel them in. It could make previously disinterested customers, people who haven't already adopted the brand, it could make them think, oh, I might consider this because they're now offering something that appeals to me, that fits with what I want. And then finally, it's all about capturing value from customers to create profits and customer quality. So like I say, again, I don't particularly like the little line there so much. It doesn't necessarily have to be about profit. But again, it depends what you define as profits, I suppose. It might not necessarily just mean cash. It might not mean number of sales. It could be that you've massively created awareness of a particular problem within society. Again, the Stop Smoking campaign springs to mind there. Yes, to an extent, I suppose the NHS would profit if there were fewer treatments that they had to deliver for people who have lung problems, but there's no real sort of actual money making involved. It's all about raising awareness in that case. And then the customer quality aspect, again, all that means is really just making sure that your customers view your brand, view what you're offering as something being of high quality. So a good example of that might be the recent problems with the more recent generations of Samsung phones. Obviously they were portrayed as being this fantastic, reliable phone, and then all of a sudden across different media outlets, newspapers and online, you see about that the phones are starting to set on fire because the chargers, the batteries are taking too much charge and melting the phones. Obviously that's going to damage the brand's perception of being a quality and reliable brand from that point onwards. So that's pretty much just where I want to start. It's kind of an overall introduction about what I see marketing as. It doesn't, like I say, my main thing is it really does bother me when people say, oh, you're in sales, obviously that's marketing. And yes, there is a level of bleed over between marketing and sales, but the fact of the matter is it's a completely different area, which draws on so many different aspects of social science. There's elements of psychology, sociology, anthropology in there. It's all about understanding who your consumer is, why they want a particular thing, and how best to deliver it and how best to get them to buy it from you. So that's pretty much it for this first video. Hopefully you find it a little bit interesting. I'd love it if people wanted to drop me a comment or a like or something. That'd be grand. Thank you very much for your time, and catch you later.